You're listening to Red Pill 78. I am the corruption detector, and this is your Red Pill news. First of all, you guys, I just want to let everyone know that Chi-Chi came through his surgery fine today. He is recuperating downstairs. He's with my daughter. We've got to stay with him pretty much the whole time because he's still groggy from the anesthetic. And he needs a lot of babying. I'm going to have to be feeding him some special food now. He actually needed 10 teeth removed, not just 6. It was way worse than they thought. And apparently, Chihuahuas are prone to periodontal disease. We're going to have him on a special dental regimen from here on out. But I just want to thank everyone who had him in your prayers. He was a very, very brave little boy. I love that dog. If anything happened to him, I don't know what would happen. Everything turned out okay. All right, so first of all, here from the Gateway Pundit, this is unfortunately what happened yesterday at the summit. President Trump walked away. He left the talks because Kim Jong-un did not want to get rid of nuclear weapons everywhere. He only wanted to get rid of them some places. And of course, President Trump wants what President Trump wants, and it's what's good for the country and what's good for the world. A nuclear-free Korean peninsula is good for everyone. So President Trump walked away. So let's take a look at this, but first, a word from our sponsor. CNN just announced last month that YouTube will be censoring any videos on its platform having to do with 9/11 or conspiracy theories, quote unquote. But this doesn't just stop with us creators. Anyone who's watching this content is probably going to be recorded, stored, and analyzed by the powers that be just for viewing this material in the first place. That's why in times like these, using a VPN is a great idea. Introducing Virtual Shield. It's trusted by many, it's the easiest and fastest to use VPN, and they will never sell your information out to big data. With a click of a button, you change your IP address to a different location, so the internet spies watching you will be thrown into a tailspin. Take a look. What is my IP? Here I am broadcasting from an unknown location, but you can see the last 3 digits of my IP address is 144. All I need to do to mask myself is click Connect in Virtual Shield, give it a moment, and suddenly I'll be in Chicago, Illinois. Check it out. This month, Virtual Shield is offering 35% off all VPN plans and all premium add-ons, including Protection Plus, residential access, monthly maintenance, phone support, and VIP performance plans for as low as $3 per month. And don't forget about IdentiSafe, which allows the customer the ability to block off computer microphone and camera access from any unwanted spies and hackers. For anyone that's paranoid about the government watching or listening to every move they make via computer, IdentiSafe is for them. Don't forget, Virtual Shield is one of the easiest VPNs in the world to use. It's also one of the fastest VPNs, and their no-log policy protects its users from any data breaches. Just go to virtualshield.com/redpill78, and you'll be able to use the special code on the homepage to sign up for free and get 35% off. All right, President Trump walked out of his second summit with North Korean tyrant Kim Jong-un on Thursday. The U.S. presented evidence of additional nuclear sites, which stunned the North Korean delegation. President Trump walked away early after a deal could not be reached. Now, Bloomberg said that President Donald Trump said he walked out of his second summit with Kim Jong-un after the two leaders couldn't agree on a deal to relieve North Korea of U.S. sanctions in exchange for Pyongyang giving up much of its nuclear weapons program. Trump said Kim wanted the sanctions lifted in their entirety, and we couldn't do that. In exchange, the North Korean leader had offered to dismantle its main nuclear facility at Yongbyon. It wasn't enough, the president said at a news conference after the summit collapsed. The U.S. presented Kim with evidence of additional secret nuclear sites, surprising the North Koreans, according to Trump. Secretary of State Michael Pompeo said that even without Yongbyon, the country still possesses missiles, warheads, and other elements of a nuclear program that were unacceptable to the U.S. Sometimes you have to walk, Trump told reporters. Now, this wasn't entirely surprising to me. President Trump has a habit of doing this. If he does not get what he wants at the negotiating table, he'll walk away because that leaves the people that he is negotiating with or the entities or the countries, whoever it is, it's going to be upon them now to come crawling back to the negotiating table, and they're going to give up even more than they would have given up previously if Trump had gotten his way. Now, what's very interesting to me here is that it was stated that they surprised the North Koreans with the evidence of these additional nuclear sites. Now, this ties into something very interesting that I found on the Notables section today on Q Research. So let's go ahead and take a look at that. All right, so as I was saying, here is an excellent theory from Anon that I found on the boards. Okay, so if you remember, we had this photo of our missing SCOTUS in Hanoi. All right, well, we also had a mysterious case take place in Spain. An unknown group of people, an unknown group of unidentified men entered North Korea's embassy in Madrid last Friday. They bound and gagged staff and drove off 4 hours later with computers, according to a report by the El Confidencial news site, broadly confirmed on Wednesday by a foreign ministry source. So this Anon says, all right, Anons, let me know what you think. I was wondering why our favorite Anon brought up the RBG Hanoi post from last Friday and said, good find, Anons, pick related. But that post was discussed a lot this year already because, of course, we know that SCOTUS is, perhaps dead, maybe not dead. Then I came across these two articles. We're going to take a look at those. The Interior Ministry officially said police were investigating an incident, but gave no details except to say that a North Korean citizen had been injured and that no one had filed a complaint. El Confidencial said one of the staff had managed to free herself and escape, alerting neighbors with screams in Korean. After she told police that staff were being held, gagged, they knocked on the door to investigate, and a man told them everything was fine. But soon after, 2 cars left the compound at high speed, one of them carrying the man who had answered the door. The staff walked out of the building soon after. The website said the attackers had taken away computers belonging to various staff members and that police were trying to find out what information they might have contained and what else might be missing. Basically, the information that El Confidencial describes is how the events unfolded, the foreign ministry source said. An Interior Ministry source told Reuters that police were not ruling out any motive, including robbery. Spain was among a group of countries that expelled North Korean ambassadors in 2017. The Interior and Foreign Ministry sources said the highest-ranking North Korean official accredited in Spain was a trade attaché. Reuters could not reach any representative of North Korea in Spain, and El Confidencial said that it had contacted an official who had declined to comment. The Foreign Ministry told Reuters, "We have been in close contact with the embassy, and we were notified by the police at the outset. The police investigation in progress, and we cannot comment on it." So this article says that a group of men entered North Korea's embassy in Madrid, bound and gagged the staff before driving off with stolen mobile phones and computers, Spanish media had reported. The Interior Ministry said no one had filed a complaint, despite the fact that a North Korean citizen was injured. And again, it was the woman. She ran out of the building screaming. She revealed that staff were tied up and gagged, and they knocked on the door. The man said everything was fine. Then he and his compadres take off. And again, they removed computers belonging to various staff. They declined to comment. And an Interior Ministry official who was bound by customary rules of anonymity said, of course, that the incident was under investigation. Now, Alejandro Caudenbenos, an aide to the North Korean government who takes media, business, and other visitors to the secluded country, said he had spoken to embassy staff and he was told the assailants had taken computers and cell phones before escaping. What can I say? The part of it that I'm not sure about is that this was a robbery, said Mr. Caudenbenos, who also heads the Korean Friendship Association based out of Spain. I don't have any other detailed information at the moment on what could have been the motive. An official with Spain's foreign ministry said the government had no comment and the issue was a police matter. The official, speaking anonymously in line with internal rules, said authorities had been in touch over the incident with the only diplomat at North Korea's embassy, and there's the person's name. Kim Hyok-chol was ambassador to Spain until September 2017 when the Spanish government expelled him and another diplomat following Pyongyang's round of nuclear tests and missile launches over neighboring Japan. Now, back to the Post. Turns out this guy, Kim Hyok-chol, was the ambassador to Spain until 2017, and since then he's been a close aide to Kim Jong-un. So, the North Korean embassy in Madrid has computers and cell phones stolen last Friday, 2/22/19, and then 3 days later, 2/25/19, Our favorite Anon says, good find, while tagging an earlier post that says, I hear Hanoi is educational. Was the robbery a mission by white hats to get whatever information was being stored there? Was this the real reason why POTUS went to meet with KJU? And I take us back to the article, which states that the North Koreans were surprised when we told them that we know the location of additional nuclear sites. So I have to agree with this Anon. I think this is a sound theory. I think that we probably did go there. We got the goods. We found the information. Our favorite Anon had congratulated the operators in the field, and therefore President Trump was unwilling to make a deal because as much as he and Kim Jong-un are getting along, Kim Jong-un is still holding out. Kim Jong-un comes from a completely different world, you guys. You have to remember, he grew up isolated. He knows about Western culture. He knows about the world, but he also thinks that, I saw this quoted on Fox today, you can't make money if you're dead, or something to that effect. Your country can't prosper if your citizens are dead. So he really believes that possessing the nuclear weapons is the only thing keeping him and the people of North Korea alive. So I also saw people, mumbling about the fact that President Trump, was stupid or, was unprepared. Why did he go in and, didn't know that he was going to not get his way? Well, I think that President Trump did get his way. We found the information. He did not make the deal with Kim Jong-un because he needs Kim Jong-un to know that we have everything. So just a little bit more time, folks, and things are going to go the way that President Trump wants them and the way that it's good for America. So while we're here on the board, wanted to go over a post that an Anon had put together showing some things from the clock. So in America, on the date was 2:27. In Vietnam, it was 2:28. So if everyone can remember, yesterday Methods had tweeted out a little clip from the press conference that was with President Trump and Kim Jong-un. And Kim Jong-un had said it was like they were in a fantasy movie. I thought that was very interesting, especially when you look at the posts that line up on the clock for that day. Post number 461, what makes a good movie? Great actors. And post number 114, U.S. military, savior of mankind, we will never forget. Fantasyland. God save us all. So that is just incredible. The fact that that those two posts are on there, and Kim Jong-un happened to say that it was like they were in a fantasy movie.
Because there are people who are welcoming this meeting. There are people who have remained skeptical about this meeting, but I'm sure that all of them would be watching the moment that we're sitting together, side by side, as if they're watching a fantasy movie.
All right, and one more here. This is a little graphic set that an Anon put together, also from the clock. This is from today, so it was the 28th on there, so it'd be 28 seconds. So let's take a look. These are all of the posts that line up on this particular bar of the clock. Now, this is everything on the 22nd, and this is everything on the 58th. So let's take a look. So on the clock for today, we've got at Snowden, welcome to China, trip update, Rod Rosenstein deadline, we have the server, matters of national security, and I hope you and Chris enjoy your time in the land of Alice and the Mad Hatter. All the best from the Hanoi Hilton. Also, you've got the 2555. This is the mirror of 22. Stage being set. Boom week ahead. The fight to keep the lights off is all that matters to you. You will fail. The world will unite in this cause. G versus E, good versus evil, right versus wrong. At some point, military generals will act with the will of the people simply because their soldiers are those same people and have no choice. And then RBG next. Now, today's 180-degree clock mirror at 58. NK diffuse. POTUS will be up all night. Regarding Mueller, 5x5, Mueller will face charges regarding uranium-1. He's working to save himself. Panic in D.C. So, all of these very interesting little tidbits, and the more posts we get, the more that someone might say, oh, it just happens to say that because our favorite Anon posts a lot of things and says a lot of things. But it doesn't always happen like this. It doesn't always happen that you've got these amazing posts that line up together and just happen to work. So there's always something interesting on the Q clock, and today happens to be a very particularly good day. All right, and now, speaking of favorite Anons, we've got Methods right here. Posted this just a few minutes ago. Looks like March Madness got even more intense. U.S. District Court Judge Ursula Ungaro overruled requests by Steele and David Kramer, the former McCain associate, to keep depositions they gave in the BuzzFeed lawsuit under seal. Let's take a look from the Daily Caller. A federal judge in Florida on Thursday ordered the release of depositions given by former British spy Christopher Steele and a longtime associate of late Republican Arizona Senator John McCain in a lawsuit filed against BuzzFeed regarding Steele's anti-Trump dossier. U.S. District Court Judge Ursula Ungaro overruled requests by Steele and David Kramer, the former McCain associate, to keep depositions they gave in the BuzzFeed lawsuit under seal. Ungaro dismissed a lawsuit filed against BuzzFeed on December 19, 2018, by Alexei Gabarev, a Russian businessman accused in the dossier of using his companies to hack into DNC computers. The depositions by Steele and Kramer, a former Department of State official, are likely to shed light on how the dossier was compiled and disseminated to U.S. government officials and the press. Ungaro ordered the documents' release for March 14th. Kramer, a former State Department official, provided the dossier to a BuzzFeed reporter December 28, 2016, several weeks after meeting with Steele in London. Steele was hired in June 2016 by opposition research firm Fusion GPS to investigate then-candidate Donald Trump's ties to Russia. He produced 17 separate memos dated between June 20th, 2016 and December 13th, 2016, alleging a vast conspiracy between the Trump campaign and the Kremlin to influence the election. Though the document remains unverified, the FBI cited Steele's report extensively in applications to obtain surveillance warrants from former Trump campaign advisor Carter Page. The dossier suffered a heavy blow Wednesday during the congressional testimony of former Trump attorney Michael Cohen. Cohen denied under oath he visited Prague during the 2016 campaign, as the dossier alleges. Steele, a former MI6 official, claimed Cohen visited Kremlin officials in Prague to discuss paying off Russian hackers. So what's great about this is that Methods let me know that the date this is going to be released is March 14th, 3:14, the time from the watch. What happens the day after March 14th? The Ides of March, March 15th, as pointed out in the video I did last night, talking about the possible release of that video that could be coming out on the 15th. And then, of course, after that, we've got March 18th, which is an important date for us to watch as well. I know somebody had mentioned that in my video I conflated the 15th and the 18th, so the Ides of March is the 15th. I know, you guys. I had been working all day yesterday, and by the time I got that video made, I was very, very tired. So I apologize if in my my excitement and rush to get it out, I misspoke. And as we discussed yesterday, Michael Cohen's testimony in front of the committee was filled with holes, and clearly he perjured himself yet again. So not to let him get off easy, Mark Meadows and Jim Jordan are referring Cohen to AG Barr for alleged perjury at the oversight hearing. Man, this guy's never getting out of prison. Republican reps Jim Jordan of Ohio and Mark Meadows of North Carolina referred Michael Cohen to the Attorney General William Barr on Thursday, alleging that the president's former attorney perjured himself in the course of giving testimony at Wednesday's hearing before the House Oversight Committee. Mr. Cohen's testimony before the Committee on Oversight and Reform on February 27, 2019, was a spectacular and brazen attempt to knowingly and willfully testify falsely and fictitiously to numerous material facts, the letter to Barr from Jordan and Meadows states. His testimony included intentionally false statements designed to make himself look better on a national stage. Mr. Cohen's prior conviction for lying to Congress merits a heightened suspicion that he has yet again testified falsely before Congress, the letter concludes. The letter details 6 distinct points supporting an investigation into whether Cohen's testimony Wednesday before the committee was truthful. Meadows, chair of the House Freedom Caucus, and ranking member Jordan contend in the letter that Cohen's testimony denying defrauding any banks is intentionally false. They point to Cohen having already pled guilty, among other related charges, to a count of making false statements to a banking institution. A second concern they outline involves Cohen's testimony that he did not seek employment in the White House. According to Jordan and Meadows, this testimony is demonstrably, materially, and intentionally false. They note that the job-seeking related testimony directly contradicts court filings made by the United States Attorney's Office for the Southern District of New York, which state during and after the campaign, Cohen privately told friends and colleagues, including in seized text messages, that he expected to be given a prominent role and title in the new administration. When that did not materialize, Cohen found a way to monetize his relationship with and access to the president. A third point Meadows and Jordan offer in support of the DOJ investigating Cohen's possible perjury during Wednesday's hearings involves his testimony about his involvement in the establishment of the @WomenForCohen Twitter account. Though Cohen testified that he did not direct the establishment of that account, an article in the Wall Street Journal suggests that the account was indeed created by IT firm Redfinch at Cohen's behest. Fourth, Meadows and Jordan charged that Cohen's truth and testimony form indicated he did not have any reportable contracts with foreign entities. During the hearing, however, Cohen testified to entering into contractual agreements in 2017 with at least 2 foreign entities, including the BTA Bank of Kazakhstan and Korea Aerospace Industries of South Korea. Mark Meadows. He's like, please. You're a liar. You're a liar. On this fourth point, Meadows and Jordan also suggest that beyond perjury, Cohen's possible lobbying or consulting activities with those entities may have also been a violation of the Foreign Agents Registration Act. In point 5, Meadows and Jordan allege that Cohen's verbal testimony contradicted written statements submitted in advance of his appearance, and that those contradictions materially affect the committee's assessment of Mr. Cohen's credibility. Finally, Meadows and Jordan assert that Cohen's assertion of blind loyalty to President Trump is false. Instead, they assert that Cohen's conduct was driven by personal greed and ambition. Cohen is scheduled to report to jail for a 3-year sentence for tax evasion, bank fraud, and lying to Congress on May 6th. Well, like I said yesterday, either Cohen, testified in the way that he did so that he could intentionally incriminate the Democrats in their scheme to once again try to dethrone President Trump, or he's got to be the stupidest lawyer that I have ever seen anywhere at all. And now, in another little gem from my friend Methods, Adam Schiff tweeted out earlier, the mystery of how Jared Kushner was granted a top-secret security clearance despite myriad financial entanglements and undisclosed foreign meetings has been solved. His father-in-law ordered it. It's called clearance by nepotism and a serious abuse that endangers our security. Wow, Adam Schiff really worked out the find of the century. The president ordered someone to give another person security clearance, and they complied? Oh my God, what is happening? Method says, did you draft this tweet on a standard hotel napkin? I can just see Adam Schiff drinking at the bar, just scribbling furiously. He's got a pile of napkins around him. And then finally he's like, nailed it. All right. And in another bit of news from our friends in the North, there are calls now for Trudeau's resignation after explosive testimony from his former AG. This is pretty solid stuff here, guys. You're going to want to listen. Former Canadian Attorney General Jody Wilson-Raybould told the House of Commons Justice Committee Wednesday that she was told to interfere in the prosecution of Quebec contractor SNC-Lavalin. The official opposition says Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau has no option but to resign. The political interference from the Prime Minister's office was apparently all about getting corruption charges against the company deferred in order to shore up Liberal Party support in the province of Quebec. For a period of approximately 4 months between September and December 2018, I experienced a consistent and sustained effort by many people within the government to seek to politically interfere in the exercise of prosecutorial discretion in my role as the Attorney General of Canada, in an inappropriate effort to secure a deferred prosecution agreement, or a DPA, with SNC-Lavalin, Wilson-Raybould told the committee. And there she is right there. Trudeau also participated in this sustained effort, according to Wilson-Raybould, and at one point he directly implied that Wilson-Raybould should consider the party's political fortunes in Quebec. She described the incident when the Prime Minister jumped in, stressing that there is an election in Quebec and that I am an MP in Quebec, the member for Papineau. The former Attorney General and Justice Minister says she was taken aback by the comment and posed a direct question while looking him in the eye. I asked, "Are you politically interfering with my role, my decision as the Attorney General? I would strongly advise against it." Trudeau's response appeared to be both a denial and an affirmation. The Prime Minister said, No. We just need to find a solution." Man, some political doublespeak there. Official opposition Conservative leader Andrew Scheer is demanding that Trudeau resign for political interference and says the Royal Canadian Mounted Police must investigate Wilson-Raybould's enormous claims. Speaking to reporters on Wednesday, Scheer said Trudeau has no moral authority to govern Canada. "I was sickened and appalled by Wilson-Raybould's story of inappropriate and frankly borderline illegal pressure brought to bear on her by the highest levels of Justin Trudeau's government," he said. Trudeau said Wednesday he won't resign and has essentially dismissed his former minister's testimony as a fabrication. "I strongly maintain, as I have from the beginning, that I and my staff always acted appropriately and professionally," he said during an event in Montreal late Wednesday. "And therefore I completely disagree with the characterization of the former Attorney General about these events." While media continued to demand answers throughout Wednesday afternoon, the Liberal government tried to avoid the story. Canadian Public Safety Minister Ralph Goodale announced on Twitter that the federal government would be pardoning Canadians who had been charged with possession of marijuana before the drug was legalized. Well, there he goes, trying to change that news cycle. Wilson-Raybould's revolt is unprecedented in a Liberal Party that has dominated the Canadian political landscape for over a century by keeping caucus malcontents silent and demanding its members of Parliament speak in unison. Suspicions that something was amiss in the Trudeau government were aroused when Trudeau demoted Wilson-Raybould from Attorney General to Veterans Affairs Minister last month following a cabinet shuffle. The former minister will continue to sit as a Liberal MP for the time being. Wilson-Raybould, who is Aboriginal, was seen as an example of Trudeau's efforts to reach reconciliation with Canada's First Nations. Now, this is not the first time that scandal has plagued the Trudeau administration. This is just, hopefully, the last time. Justin Trudeau has been damaging to the country of Canada. I hear it all the time from my viewers that live up north, and there is nothing better that could happen than for him to resign in this case. Now, this is clearly an illegal act that Justin Trudeau created here. Let's go ahead and take a look at a thread that Method sent over to me earlier. So right here, this is from Ezra Levant. "For my American and British friends, Canada's Justin Trudeau is done. He might try to fight on. I personally think he's too damaged. He's irreparably damaged. Here's what happened in a few short tweets." And he goes on to describe exactly the situation. Trudeau was detonated today by his former AG. She refused to bend the law for his cronies. The story leaked out earlier this month, but it was all anonymous. Now she's on the record. Apparently there was attorney-client privilege involved, so Trudeau eventually waived that so she could testify. Then, suddenly, Gerald Butts, Trudeau's right-hand man, his best friend since college, resigned, claiming he had done nothing wrong, which is odd. It looks like a compromise. Butts left, so Wilson-Raybould met with the cabinet and the caucus again. Wilson-Raybould still didn't say anything publicly. She hired a retired Supreme Court judge as her lawyer to advise her on what she could say. Under pressure, the Liberal-dominated parliamentary committee invited her to testify, and Trudeau grudgingly waived that privilege. So today, she testified in great detail. Exactly who pressured her, exactly how, exactly when. She named names, including the Prime Minister himself, and we have the actual statement here if anyone would like to read it. Now, it's against the law to pressure the Attorney General to obstruct a criminal prosecution. Here's Canada's Criminal Code, Section 139 in 2, is obstruction. It carries a 10-year prison term. So Trudeau is looking at a 10-year prison term here for trying to obstruct his Attorney General from filing charges. Last detail, Jody Wilson-Raybould's father was an Aboriginal activist who butted heads with Justin Trudeau's father. Here they are bantering. Bill Wilson tells Pierre Trudeau that his daughter Jody wants to be prime minister one day. That's her. Maybe she will be. Let's go ahead and take a listen.
I have 2 children in Vancouver Island, both of whom, for some misguided reason, say they want to be a lawyer. Both of whom want to be the prime minister. Both of whom, Mr. Prime Minister, are women. Tell them I'll stick around till they're ready. Mr. Chairman, I'm informed by the government of British Columbia that one of them could be out here on a plane this evening.
So this spells big trouble for Justin Trudeau. Are we looking at a potential Canadian regime change? Who knows? We'll just have to wait and see how it plays out. Hot off the presses, President Donald Trump was just interviewed by Sean Hannity, and I think this is very important. Methods here shows us that Trump and Hannity are setting the stage for Barr to bring down that hammer. Gotta love it. Here we go.
So I hope it's going to be an honest report. If it isn't, we fight it. Very strongly, we fight it. Because when you look at what happened at the FBI at the top levels with McCain and the dishonesty, Comey and the dishonesty.
James Baker had said he thought Hillary should be indicted.
That's right, James Baker. He was another one that was dismissed. You look at Strzok and his lover, Lisa Page, and you look at what went on with that whole deal with the insurance policy. The insurance policy, just in case she loses. I will tell you, it's a very dishonest group of people, and I've done a great service for this country by exposing it. When you look at what happened there and at justice, and they call it justice, but it hasn't been justice. When you take a look at what's gone on, I'm very proud of the fact that we've exposed a lot of people. It's like 12. Somebody said much more than that now.
Yeah.
And this is great dishonesty at a very high level. We can't let that happen to our country.
If we have equal justice under the law, equal application of our laws, and we had a Russian dossier to influence the American people against you, and then it was used to spy on your campaign through an associate violating his constitutional rights, we have a new Attorney General.
Well, I think we have a great Attorney General, I hope, and I think he's going to do a terrific job. He's smart, he's tough, he loves the country, and he loves the Department of Justice. He loves the Department of Justice and the FBI. And Bill Barr is, I think, going to be exceptional. And you need somebody exceptional because it has to be cleaned out. What's gone on there for years has been terrible. You look at Orr and Orr's wife, who worked for GPS Fusion, and they're the ones that did this phony report, the fake dossier. Boy, it's a hornet's nest, and I think that Bill is going to do a great job.
Equal application of justice under the law. President Trump summed it up. Everything that he has exposed, more corruption exposed than any other administration in the history of our country. If Bill Barr is here to do what I think he's here to do, because I believe in President Trump's judgment and intelligence, the hammer is truly about to come down. These people have had the last opportunity to destroy our country and to destroy our president. No more. This is it, guys. It's happening. And finally, something I had missed about a week ago. This is from the Media Research Center and Newsbusters. Conservative leaders call for investigation into social media censorship. This is from the 21st. On Thursday, Media Research Center President Brent Bozell and other conservative leaders released the following joint letter to Attorney General William Barr, detailing the growing threat of online censorship from social media outlets such as Facebook, Twitter, Google, and YouTube. The letter calls for action, saying, during such a turbulent time in our nation's political system, it is crucial that you investigate how these social media, search media powerhouses wield their power to sway elections. The full letter can be found below. So, dear Attorney General Barr, congratulations on your recent confirmation as the 85th Attorney General of the United States. Following up on comments made during your confirmation hearing, we would like to bring to your attention some important details about online censorship. As you may recall from that hearing, both Senators Blackburn and Hawley brought up the possibility of the DOJ investigating Facebook, Twitter, and Google. We concur with these two senators that the investigation of these firms is urgent, and we respectfully recommend that such an investigation should be a high priority for your office. At this point, it is undeniable that Facebook, Twitter, and Google all have significant liberal agendas hardwired into their platforms. These platforms also have an unprecedented power to manipulate and sway elections. Such sweeping power, combined with near monopolistic dominance in the marketplace and in conjunction with deep, one-sided liberal partisan bias within all these organizations, is cause for alarm. These organizations present a threat not merely to conservatives in the United States, but indeed our free market economic system at the very viability of the U.S. political system. Respecting these entities' own constitutional rights, we believe there nevertheless is ample probable cause of antitrust violations and of conspiracy to violate the constitutional rights of conservatives, and possible collusion to violate laws governing America's campaign finance system and elections. Since January of 2018, the Media Research Center has conducted a thorough analysis of claims made by conservatives that they are being censored on social media. We lead a coalition of more than 40 organizations that expose the censorship of conservative voices on social media. We have witnessed firsthand the bias of these organizations. Facebook, Twitter, and Google represent existential threats to the conservative movement and indeed American society as a whole. Never in human history have companies been this large and influential. They have the ability to control so much of what we read and say every moment of the day on a global scale. Their abuse poses a growing, massive threat to the ideals of free speech that this nation was founded on. Consider what we know, and these are but some examples. Google's charity has given $250,000 to the SPLC and allows employees to volunteer there with pay by Google. The SPLC has a dubious reputation for not just supporting left-wing causes, but also for attacking completely legitimate organizations it deems to be hate groups such as the Family Research Council. A leaked email chain indicated that Google tried to boost Hispanic election turnout in 2016 in key states to aid Hillary Clinton. An exclusive report broken by Fox News' Tucker Carlson on his show, Tucker Carlson Tonight, revealed a disturbing Google email chain sent out on November 9, 2016. The first email, Elections Results and the Latino Vote, was written by Google's multicultural marketing department head, Eliano Murillo. In the 4-page email, Murillo describes how she and her coworkers engaged in nonpartisan activities to boost Latino voting turnout. However, Murillo slipped up and admitted that despite Google's political power, only 71% of Latinos voted for Hillary, and that wasn't enough. All Sides, a media technology group, analyzed the Google News homepage and found liberal content outnumbered conservative content 4-1. All Sides concluded, the numbers are so significantly strong and consistent in favor of news media sources from the left that the overall conclusion of a leftward bias at Google is well justified. Later on in the study, it stated All Sides analyzes the news on a daily basis and have found it difficult to find perspectives from the right when using Google News. The documentary Creepy Line documents how Google has the power to influence elections up to 80% for some undecided voters just by reordering the search. Facebook has had repeated allegations of blocking pro-life content. In January, ads for the film Roe v. Wade were met with replies stating, "Your ad isn't approved because it doesn't comply with our advertising policies." The New York Times did a huge analysis of Facebook's content review process and said the effort contained numerous gaps, biases, and outright errors. The paper had been given 1,400 pages from the content review process that included lists of Facebook organizations that they considered to be hate groups, but that information is kept private. Facebook issued an official apology after banning Reverend Franklin Graham for 24 hours over a 2-year-old post. The post by Graham was a criticism of musician Bruce Springsteen for canceling a North Carolina concert due to House Bill 2. Springsteen says the North Carolina law HB 2 to prevent men from being able to use women's restrooms and locker rooms is going backwards instead of forwards. They blocked him for that. Facebook released an early version of its civil rights audit and admitted it worked with far-left civil rights groups during the election. COO Sheryl Sandberg wrote that Facebook talked to over 90 civil rights organizations and asked former legislative director of the ACLU, Laura Murphy, to guide the audit. These organizations were even invited into the election war room. Twitter CEO Jack Dorsey has had several interviews recently and openly admitted his agenda. I don't believe that we can afford to take a neutral stance anymore. I don't believe that we should optimize for neutrality. He mentioned in another interview that when President Trump tweets, Twitter will often show completely different perspectives. Talk radio host Lars Larson was suspended from Twitter after a former Portland mayoral candidate, Sarah Iannarone, tweeted her condemnation of the police following an incident where a man was shot and killed by police. Larson responded in defense of the police and was suspended from Twitter for 12 hours for hate speech. Twitter later reversed it. The candidate was not suspended. Twitter is also being sued for banning a Canadian feminist for saying that women aren't men, which Twitter considers transphobic. In the midst of the media feeding frenzy over the Covington kids, Twitter reacted quickly to take down the phony account and had promoted the original video. But it didn't do the same for violent threats directed at the high school boys. Street Corner music owner Michael Buchanan tweeted multiple calls to violence against the youths. If we could wipe these families out, we would be in a much better place. F this S, as well as lock the kids in the school and burn that B to the ground. He also bragged that he would not be banned. And he was right. The political agenda of these organizations by itself is not the only issue. It is the influence these organizations possess in addition to their bias which makes them so dangerous. According to Statista, in the last reported quarter, the number of monthly active U.S. Twitter users amounted to 68 million, with more than 336 million monthly active users worldwide. As the first quarter of 2018, Twitter is one of the biggest social networks worldwide. The number of U.S. Twitter users is projected to surpass 70 million in 2020. In 2019, the number of Facebook users in the U.S. is expected to reach 211.3 million, up from 197.7 in 2016. As of the second quarter of 2017, the social network was accessed by 2 billion users on a monthly basis, making it the most popular social network worldwide. In 2018, Google generated 63.2% of all core search queries in the United States. In terms of the mobile search market in the United States, Google leads again with over 93% market share. And according to We Are Social and Hootsuite, there are now 3.48 billion total social media users around the globe. The examples of an agenda against conservatives that we have documented over the past are just a few of the many we have encountered. Americans are distrustful of these social media organizations because they have good reason to be. Their institutional bias against conservatives, along with their massive influence, makes for a dangerous combination and one which can deliberately tilt the outcome of elections. During such a turbulent time in our nation's political system, it is crucial that you investigate how these social media and search media powerhouses wield their power to sway elections. Sincerely, L. Brent Bozell III, founder and president, Anthony Allen, Saulius Saul Anzius, Diana Bannister, Gary Bauer, Lee Beeman, and the names go on and on. These are people that put this letter together and are asking our Attorney General to take action. We all know firsthand exactly what is being talked about here. And I could not be more excited to know that people are asking Bill Barr to take a look at this. I think if there's anybody who is going to do it, I really do believe that it's Bill Barr, because he understands justice. He understands the need for equality in the justice system. If he just takes a look at the very short list of examples that were included here, just these brief examples, it becomes very obvious that these agencies and these organizations have an agenda. And it is not in the interest of America. It's in the interest of those people looking to hold and wield power in America, the left. If these organizations want to wield the kind of power that they wield, then they have got to be held accountable. And we cannot afford to allow them to decide the fate and the course of our country. As long as people in America have the ability to speak freely, they must be allowed to speak freely anywhere that speech can be heard. And in these instances, we know that we do not have that ability. I run the risk of having this video get shut down just because I'm talking about the fact. So I just want to thank everyone for joining me tonight. As always, I am Red Pill 78, the corruption detector, and this was your Red Pill News. Good luck, everyone, and God bless.